Hey, welcome back. Uh, in this video series, uh, you're going to learn how to select the right vehicle based on your income so that you won't be surprised when it comes time to repair the vehicle and be slapped by a large amount of repair costs to repair a certain type of vehicle. If you make a certain amount of income, you should not be driving a specific make and model. Let me repeat that again. If you make a certain amount of income, you should not be driving a specific make and model vehicle that you cannot afford to repair. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this happen, and it's really saddens my heart to even talk about it and see it happen sometimes. People go out there and they think that they may choose to buy a BMW if they make $20,000 a year, and it comes to their shock and surprise that they can't even afford to, much less make the payments. They can't even afford to repair the vehicle as well. So I want to save you that heartache and that time so you don't go through that. And I really, really do hope that you listen to me and take heed to my um, warning that, just do not do this. So let's take a look at the first bracket of income here. If you make 25 to $40,000 in earned income, you can afford to repair a Honda, Acura, a Lexus, a Ford, Nissan, Infiniti. I mean, obviously, there's other brands in that category, um, that kind of fits in the same category that I didn't put there because I had a limited space. Also, Toyota, Hyundai, Fiat, Dodge, Chrysler. Some people just need to stay within their limits. Stay within your limits. You know what you can afford, but right now, a lot of times you don't understand something because you're thinking about it. But when you see it on paper, you understand it more. So what I'm trying to get you to realize is that if you can just make the assessment that, okay, I'm going to buy this type of car. Okay, I make this much. Or you may have payments due that you need to make. So you have to add all of these things into the equation to be sure that, hey, I'll be able to survive when it comes time to repair this vehicle. So in the next bracket, I want to talk about the 50,000 to 65 income per year person. You can afford to repair and buy a Mini or BMW, a Range Rover, Mercedes, C-Class, or SLK, also a Land Rover, an Audi, Volvo, or Volkswagen. Uh, I've seen so many people go out and buy Range Rovers and Mercedes Benzes that only make $20,000 per year. They get hit with the bill and they're looking crazy like, what is this? I didn't know it cost this much to repair this vehicle because you didn't do your due diligence. Do your due diligence so you can, set yourself up for success. Don't set yourself up for failure just by guessing because you want something that you want to look nice in. That's all great and dandy, and I do respect that. Everybody has dreams of owning something really nice, but the truth and the reality is real. Buy something that you can afford. Okay? So I want to talk about the next category of income, the 70,000 to $100,000 in income earned. You can afford to drive a Porsche. You can afford to drive a higher class Mercedes-Benz, like an S-Class or an E-Class, also a Maserati, a BMW 7 Series, BMW M Series, BMW 6 Series, and there's a few more models that's in that category, but I didn't have enough room here to mention that or write it into the small box. So you just have to stay in your lane and stay within your limits based on the certain amount of income you make. And the next category I want to talk about is the $1 million and up category. You can afford to drive a Bentley. You can afford to drive a Ferrari. You can afford to drive and repair a Rolls Royce. You can afford to drive a Lamborghini, Aston Martin, and Bugatti. So you see where that meshes. Don't don't try to go out of your limits and do all these things that really set you up for failure. This vehicle to income ratio is so key for you to in finding the right vehicle that this is like one of the most important, if not the most important thing out of all this lessons. If you don't get anything else, get this. Rewind it, play it over and over again, get it etched into your mind that this little formula here, you must follow it. You must do your due diligence. You must see where you fall into that category of where you can afford to repair the vehicle. All right, so let's take a look at something, right? Uh, can you afford to repair that vehicle? Uh, like I said, based on the amount of income you earn, I recommend you buying a particular vehicle based on what it is uh, it costs to repair a specific make and model. I just want to kind of go through a few examples with you here that, I looked these two vehicles up myself personally. I didn't just go and grab it offline and, plug some numbers in. I went and I just went through it, went through the process. Uh, I want to give you an example of a high cost of maintenance vehicle and a low cost of maintenance vehicle. I know these are two different totally brands, but I just want to give you a higher uh, quality of brand and a kind of lower quality of brand, but it's still, they're still good brands. All right. So in the first one, we have a 2007 Mercedes-Benz ML320. And if you make $24,000 a year based on your income, you cannot afford to repair this vehicle. You cannot. I mean, you have so many more things in this equation. Rent, you have insurance, all the other things. But we're just gonna totally focus on the cost to repair it. All right. So let's say you need valve cover gasket for this Mercedes, right? Parts and labor is going to cost you $600. And I just want to let you know I may be lowballing just a little bit on the Mercedes because those numbers are not quite exact, but the parts is is exact, but the labors may be a little off. So just bear with me. It's just an example, hypothetically speaking, all right? So you got the front brakes and rotors, parts and labor, $550. You got a starter, $750. You have battery, parts and labor, 160. You have radiator, parts and labor, $750. You have an alternator, parts and labor, $800. Total is $3,610. If you make $24,000 a year, would you be crying if you had to pay that in 1 year? Because if you really think about it, right? This is a 2007. I didn't give you something that was a little bit older than that. Let's bring it, up to date a little bit. 2007 is still old. But it's just to, show you that, these things break on a regular basis. I mean, there's more that I can add into this, but this is just hypothetically speaking, just to give you something to sink your teeth in so you can realize how real this is. I don't want you to make this mistake. All right. So let me give you another example. This is a low cost maintenance vehicle, a 2007 Honda Accord. And if you make $24,000 a year in income, based on that income, you can afford to repair this vehicle. Take a look at the difference in the prices, people. All right. A valve cover gasket, parts and labor is going to run you about $200, $204. And by the way, that's a 4-cylinder, this Honda Accord. Front brakes and rotors, parts and labor, $233. What if the starter goes bad? Parts and labor, $464. What if the battery goes bad? Parts and labor, $100. What if the radiator goes bad? $496, parts and labor. What if the alternator decides to go out? $500 to do the alternator. So look at the significance of the difference in price and cost wise overall. You got $3,000, $610, and you have $1,997. Now, the question I want to ask you is, you make $24,000 a year. This is, I'm just doing the bottom of the income, the totem pole. Which one of these cars are you going to choose? Which one of these vehicles are you going to choose? It's a no-brainer, right? You make $24,000 a year and you're going to go and spend $3,610 to repair a vehicle that you could have avoided in the first place? Don't do that. So this is the reason why I want to show you this, so you can see it with your eyes and digest it, so that you can do the same thing that I did and find a vehicle that you can afford to drive. All right, so I want to give you a list of high cost maintenance brand vehicles. Take a look at these brands. Remember these brands, etch them in your mind, rewind the video, play it over and over again right before you go out vehicle shopping so that you can know. Get a sheet of paper and write down high cost maintenance brands and low cost maintenance brands so that you can know, this is what I can look at these vehicles and stay within my limits, and just, find an even ground to where it's going to give you an opportunity to win. And that's powerful, guys. Use this formula. Do it with every vehicle that you're so sure that you want to buy. Do it. I'm telling you, it works. Think about it long and hard before you go out there and purchase a vehicle that you cannot afford to repair. This is a part of the process. Learn it, do it over and over again so that it becomes natural, and that thinking process becomes natural, and you just find something that suits your pocket and your bank account. That's all for now. I have more tips and tricks. I'll see you in the next video.